Mafia family's widowers overcome obstacles to get revenge for their murdered family. Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is a crime drama from 1997 titled Bella Mafia. The movie begins in Palermo, Italy with Michael Luciano, a young man with big dreams and a ticket to Harvard University. He's saying his goodbyes on a sun-drenched beach, with his girlfriend Sofia by his side. Although she is unhappy about being excluded from his farewell party, Michael manages to calm her with a heart pendant necklace, symbolizing his vow to come back. Back at the Luciano family estate, Michael arrives at his family villa, where he is welcomed by his father, Don Roberto Luciano, a prominent figure deeply connected to the Sicilian Mafia, and his mother, Graziella. The villa buzzes with guests, among them Pietro Carola, a notorious mob boss from the United States. Pietro's got a proposition for Robert. That night, after a quiet moment with his father, Michael sneaks off to see Sofia. He's young, in love, and full of promises, but fate has other plans. Pietro, bitter from being turned down, lures Michael into a trap. It's a brutal wake-up call. Michael is beaten and witnesses the dark dealings of the Mafia. To avoid an all-out war, the decision is made. Michael has to go. Pietro is sent back to New York, a strategic move to keep the peace. Dawn breaks, and with it comes a parent's worst nightmare. Roberto and Graziella find their son, lifeless, at their gates. The loss is unbearable. At Michael's funeral, surrounded by family, Roberto makes a vow of vengeance. They know Pietro's behind it, but the Mafia's a tricky beast. They've already set up a scapegoat, Pietro's American associate whom they've killed. In this world, loyalty and revenge go hand in hand. And for the Lucianos, this is just the beginning. Amid the Luciano family's turmoil, there's a twist with Sofia. Unbeknownst to her, Michael's gone, and she's carrying his child. She finds refuge in a convent, working there until she learns of Michael's death, a crushing blow delivered just as she gives birth to their son, Luca. Determined to secure a future for her boy, she heads to the Luciano villa, only to be met with a closed gate and a twist of fate. She's hit by a car driven by Michael's brother, Constantino. They bring her in to rest, and she is taken care of by Graziella, who has taken a liking to her. Constantino also seems to like Sofia, so Graziella suggests to her husband that they should let the two marry. Despite his initial refusal, Roberto agrees. Sofia attempts to reveal her past with Michael to Constantino, but he's more interested in proposing than listening. After Graziella persuades her, Sofia, heartbroken over losing Luca to adoption, agrees to marry Constantino. Their wedding at the villa introduces Sofia to Teresa Scorpio and her mother, but it's her encounter with Moira, an American, that marks a turning point. Meanwhile, the Luciano men face renewed pressure from the Mafias for drug trafficking, which Roberto staunchly refuses. The family's dynamics continue to evolve, with Graziella hoping to match her son, Federico, with Teresa. But Federico's eyes are set on Moira. Sent to New York with his brother Alfredo to manage a casino, Federico's flirtation with Moira intensifies, while Alfredo finds a connection with Teresa. The two couples' paths diverge. Alfredo and Teresa marry in America, and Federico brings Moira as his date, much to Roberto's disapproval. The revelation of Federico and Moira's secret marriage and pregnancy shocks everyone. Tragedy strikes when Moira miscarries, and Sofia, ever the empath, comforts her in the hospital. The family's internal conflicts escalate, with Sofia clashing with Constantino over Moira's place in the family and her fears of infertility. The final blow comes when she learns that Luca, her son with Michael, disappeared, and his adoptive parents have given up on finding him, deepening the web of intrigue and emotion entangling the Luciano family. To help Sofia cope with her grief, the Lucianos encourage her to open a boutique. It's a welcome distraction, and soon she brings more good news to the family. She's pregnant. The birth of twin boys lifts the spirits of everyone, especially Sofia. The Luciano family is flourishing, with the twins, Teresa's daughter Rosa, and even Moira, who's now embraced as part of the family. They celebrate their growing bond over a cheerful outdoor lunch. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to them, Sofia's first son, Luca, is very much alive. He's been bouncing from one orphanage to another, labeled as a troubled child. His latest home is an abbey, where he befriends Giorgio Carola, Pietro's son, who's lived there his whole life due to a severe disability. Luca, treating Giorgio without pity, becomes like a brother to him. As Giorgio's health deteriorates, Pietro visits, and in his final moments, Giorgio makes Pietro promise to look after Luca, declaring they are one. Giorgio's last words to Luca are of love, and his death sends Luca into a fit of rage. Pietro, honoring his son's wish, takes Luca under his wing, treating him as his own. But their time in America is cut short when the FBI ambushes them, aiming to arrest Pietro. Pietro, desperate, tasks Luca with a grim mission to deal with Roberto, who's set to testify against him. As the Lucianos prepare for Rosa's wedding, they're also buoyed by the prospect of finally getting revenge on Pietro. The men celebrate at a restaurant, leaving the women and children at home, unaware of the looming danger. In the dead of night, Luca, driven by vengeance and manipulation, commits an unthinkable act. He murders Sofia's twins in their sleep. The discovery of the twins' lifeless bodies by Graciela and Sofia is only the beginning of the tragedy. The family is shattered further when they learn that all the Luciano men, including Rosa's fiancé, have been fatally poisoned. The Luciano Empire, once unbreakable, now stands on the brink of collapse, engulfed by grief and betrayal. The Luciano women, drowning in grief, are convinced the Carolas are behind the bloodshed. They make a vow of revenge. After the funerals, their lawyer Mario faces a brutal threat from the Mafia. Surrender the Lucianos' Sicilian businesses. They're after the American holdings too, but Mario stalls, saying he needs to gather the papers. He tells Graciela about the tough decisions he's facing to keep the Luciano women safe. Then, in a moment of desperation, he burns the American business documents and takes his own life. Meanwhile, Luca brags to Pietro about wiping out the Luciano men, kids included. Pietro blows up, seeing Luca's actions as reckless and bringing more heat. Feeling betrayed, Luca says that he'll never see Pietro again. When Graciela hears about Mario's death, her rage towards Pietro boils over. She hatches a plan to sneak a gun into Pietro's trial and take him out herself. On the trial day, the Luciano women show up, united in their mission. They hand the gun to Graciela, who takes a clumsy shot at Pietro once he takes the stand. Then, out of nowhere, Luca, disguised as a monk, shoots Pietro dead. He escapes in the chaos, ditching his disguise and gun. He runs away while panicked chaos ensues, hiding the monk robe and his gun in a backpack. When he continues to run, he gets hit by Lucianos' car. Teresa, Moira, and Rosa bring the unconscious Luca to their villa, not knowing that he's Pietro and their family's killer. When Graciela and Sofia arrive home, they are visited by Castellano, who demands that they hand over their American companies. After saying that they have nothing left, and Moira pointing a gun, they manage to get the Mafia to back off. Sofia's instincts kick in. They need to figure out who this John Taylor really is. They find a plane ticket in his pocket, leading them to believe he's an American student. But the plot thickens when Moira and Teresa discover a gun and a monk's robe in his bag. Meanwhile, Sofia's dealing with the Italian cops, who are on the hunt for Pietro's killer, last seen in a monk's disguise. Teresa and Moira play it cool, pretending to be in the dark. But when they get back, Luca and the bag have vanished. They keep this discovery from Sofia, not wanting to add to her worries. Luca, on the run again, ends up at Castellano's place, only to overhear plans to get rid of him. He beats them to the punch, using poisoned alcohol to take out Castellano. The Luciano women, determined to secure their American businesses, make a beeline for New York, with Luca trailing behind. They set up in Teresa's apartment, plotting to trade their American assets for information on their family's killer. While the women are out, Luca, still under the guise of John, shows up at the apartment. He charms Rosa, expressing gratitude to the Lucianos for their help. Graciela, seeing a resemblance to Michael in him, decides to trust this mysterious young man. In the city, Sofia and Teresa meet with Vito Giacomo, an outsider to the Mafia, but a trusted ally of Roberto in New York. He hands over the documents to their American companies and offers his support. However, even he's in the dark about who's behind the Luciano massacre. His advice? lay low, and bide their time for revenge. The Luciano women return to their New York apartment to find Luca, still masquerading as John, waiting for them. His explanation for the gun and robe raises eyebrows, but they reluctantly decide to trust him, following Graciella's lead. Luca, seizing the opportunity, begins to weave a dangerous web, attempting to charm each of the Luciano women, including Sofia, unaware of their blood connection. As Luca plays this risky game, a new threat looms. Two of Marino's henchmen show up at the apartment, their intentions deadly clear. But Luca, ever the survivor, turns the tables on them. In a swift, brutal move, he eliminates the threat and disposes of the bodies. His bold strategy doesn't end there. He plants the bodies in Marino's car, a silent, menacing message. In the aftermath of the attack, Luca, playing his cards close to his chest, offers the Luciano women refuge at his father's mansion. Sofia, however, chooses to stay behind at the apartment, as the Italian police have requested her presence. It's there that she's hit with a bombshell. The police reveal Luca's true identity as Carolla's adopted son, the very man responsible for the massacre of the Luciano men. Sofia reels from the shock, but when the police ask for her help to capture Luca, she plays it cool, denying any knowledge of his whereabouts. Her mind races, not with thoughts of justice, but of personal vengeance. Meanwhile, the rest of the Luciano women, along with Luca, hatch a plan to secure funds to maintain their American companies. They target the casino chips left in Moira's old suite, now controlled by her ex. The heist goes off without a hitch, but it ends in bloodshed. Luca eliminates Moira's ex, tightening the noose of danger around them. Back in the city, Sofia meets with Vito Giacomo once more, this time with a proposition. She offers Rosa's hand in marriage to Vito's son, Michael, in exchange for a share of the Carolla family fortune once they've dealt with Luca. It's a bold move, intertwining family, power, and revenge in a high-stakes game where every player has something to lose. Sofia arrives at the Carolla mansion ahead of the others, her mind racing with the knowledge of Luca's true identity. When the rest of the family returns, she masks her turmoil, playing the part of the unsuspecting host. But as the evening unfolds, she cunningly lures Luca away, under the pretense of fetching some wine. In his absence, she reveals to her family the harrowing truth. Luca is the architect of their suffering. With a plan of vengeance in place, they proceed to host a dinner party, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken intentions. Luca is unaware that his food is laced with a drug, leaving him drowsy and vulnerable. The women seize the opportunity, binding him to a chair, setting the stage for Sofia to face him alone. Luca, even in his weakened state, attempts to charm Sofia, unaware of her true intentions. A moment of false intimacy leads to a kiss, but it's a ruse. Sofia, with a mix of rage and sorrow, stabs Luca, seeking retribution for her family. It's only after she delivers the fatal blow that she notices a familiar necklace around Luca's neck, the very one she gave to her long-lost son. Desperately, she asks him where he got the necklace. Barely clinging to life, Luca musters his last breath to whisper, "Mia mama." In that fleeting moment, the horrifying truth crashes down on Sofia. The man she had just killed, the one she believed to be the root of all her suffering, was in fact her own son. The weight of this revelation is crushing. Overcome with grief that knows no bounds, Sofia collapses, consumed by the agony of her actions. The tragedy of her vengeance is complete. In seeking justice for her family, she has unwittingly destroyed a part of herself. In the aftermath, the women bury the body in the yard, unaware of its tragic connection to Sofia. Amidst the heavy silence, Graziella approaches Sofia with a solemn proposition. The family has decided that Sofia will lead the Luciano family. It's a role filled with responsibility and danger, but Sofia accepts, ready to steer her family through the turbulent waters of the mob world. Life for the Lucianos gradually finds a new rhythm. They slowly earn back the respect they had lost. The strategic marriage of Rosa to Michael Giacomo becomes a turning point. Sofia leverages this alliance to regain control of the Luciano's Sicilian companies. The wedding is both a celebration and a facade for deeper plans, Behind their smiles, the Luciano women are silently orchestrating meticulous revenge against those responsible for their family's downfall, one by one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.